Welcome back to another Kray video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. And for people really interested in the Krays, check out our private Facebook group, Krays Crime Lords of London. A direct link for the group is in the YouTube description section. We're a friendly and moderated group which has been running since January 2018. Come and give us a try sometime.
Welcome back. We continue my story of my time with the Krays. They were crazy days. My name is Albert Donoghue. I was chief growler and rent collector for Ronnie and Reggie right up to 1968, when we were all arrested by Nipper Reid and his Scotland Yard team. Jack the Hat McVitie had just been murdered by Reggie Kray, and Jack's body was still where they dropped him in South London, on the back seat of his own car, awaiting collection by Freddie Foreman and company. According to Ronnie Hart, they had phoned Freddie sometime after the killing to tell him where the body was. It seems Jack's body lay there for at least a couple of days. This was during a warm spell, and it was starting to decompose and smell. Only then was he taken away. That information came from Freddie Foreman himself, when I was sent over to his place a week after the killing. I was delivering money to him again, like I had over Mitchell. Fred told me that whoever had dropped the car off had done it a bit silly. They had left the doors unlocked, and it was near a church, where apparently a wedding had taken place, because there was confetti all around the car. He said it was a miracle that no one had spotted Jack because he was covered only with an old candlewick bedspread. He told me he was pleased it was Jack because he'd had a ruck with him at Fred's own 211 club. He didn't say, but I was left with the impression that Jack was taken to feed the fish at the bottom of the English Channel, the same as Frank Mitchell. But there was one big difference that made Jack's killing far more dangerous for the twins than Frank Mitchell's. With Frank, the authorities knew from the start that he had run from Dartmoor by choice, so even if he stayed out of sight for years, they weren't going to worry much for his safety. But on the night Jack went, he'd been sitting happily at home reading the Saturday racing results when his wife Sylvia popped out. When she came back, he wasn't there. Then he never came home, so, pretty obviously, he's gone missing against his will. Sylvia traced his movements that night to the Regency, where all anyone could honestly say was that he'd been invited to a party at Blonde Carol's place. So she went straight round there and had an argument with Carol. I don't know if Carol knew he was dead. They got her out of the flat just before it happened and took her to another party. She may have guessed he was dead because of all the blood, but all she, and by now Sylvia knew for certain, was that the trail ended at her flat. So what of poor Jack? A lot of the Kray fan club today talk as if he didn't deserve to live, but who are they to say who should live or die? In the Bible, Jesus says, "Those who take the sword shall perish by the sword." If that's true for Jack, it's far truer for Ronnie and Reggie. If anyone in our crowd should have died, it was that pair. In comparison, Jack was a pussycat. When they told him to kill Leslie Payne, he deliberately let Payne off. And when Reggie wanted to kill Bobby Cannon, we both screwed up that attack too. In a sense, Jack helped save that man's life. So how can anyone say he deserved to die? Some people have tried to justify their role in his death by trying to discredit his overall character. After all, they say he'd thrown his girlfriend out of a car and broken her back. But even that wasn't a deliberate, "I'm going to break your back" job. He told me that she was yakking at him. He gave her a shove. The door flew open by chance, and she flew out. He said he had never meant to throw her out. That was his story, and you may not believe it. But there's something far sicker about far bigger East End villains whose own record with women isn't so honourable, turning into Simon Pure defenders of women's rights just to discredit Jack. We were all rubbish, and none of us can cast a stone against him. Jack wasn't murdered for being a woman hater or a pill popper, or even for being a villain. He was murdered because he was available, and significantly, because he was unconnected. He had no team of his own, so killing him wouldn't cause any ripples or provoke another gangland war. We could have picked out a dozen guys who probably deserved to go way ahead of Jack if you think like that. But his killing was like one of these fun killings where they murder tramps because nobody's going to worry about them. Jack was killed because he was an easy mark. He was unconnected, he was a clown, he was a loony, and he just happened to be around. Even the fact that he was around proves he had no intention of doing the twins. If he really had been shouting, he was going to kill them. He'd have known he had to get off the scene. Otherwise, he definitely would be next. But he had no such worries because he had no such plans. The twins knew that. Jack was done only because Reggie needed one of his own. Even then, it wasn't a courageous solo effort, but a grubby gangbang without style, panache, or dignity. The only thing Jack really did wrong was go to the party, as he knew just how kill-crazy Reggie was from the Cannon business only 3 weeks earlier. He knew what the twins were capable of. He also knew it could happen any time, and of course, he never would have gone if they had sent a member of the firm to get him. They knew that to kid him along to a party, they couldn't send a strong figure like myself or Connie Whitehead or even Ronnie Bender because he would have suspected something. He wasn't a dummy. He'd have known it was a kid on. Anyway, on past form, the twins knew Connie and I might tell him not to come, whereas the Lambrianas could not foresee what was coming because they had no idea then of the twins' manipulative mentality. Chris and Tony were gophers, boys. They were sent to the Regency because they weren't on the firm. They were just the right level, well enough connected to invite someone to the party, but not senior enough to frighten him. Once Jack was dead and disposed of, all that remained was to make sure no fringe witnesses could give effective evidence against the twins. For this, they devised the ritual of a statement taken down by their bent brief, Manny Fried, even when the witness was not sure any crime had occurred. So people like Blonde Carol and Tommy's brother, who'd supplied the new furniture for her flat, were called in to make statements to Fried, just in case the cops came calling. The twins weren't the slightest bit worried about people like me or Ronnie Hart, because the thought that we might turn never entered their heads. Yet in the end, it was mainly Hart's evidence, supported by people like Blonde Carol and me, that sank not only the twins, but Freddie Foreman as well. In the weeks after the murder, Charlie Kray was running the firm, and we all went low profile. I carried on doing the milk round, but we didn't congregate. We scattered. But when nothing seemed to be happening, and the police weren't obviously getting stuck in, the twins returned to London and took charge again. They were more puffed up than ever, even more convinced they were untouchable and invincible. They were also far closer to each other. Now Reggie had done his. He felt he was back in Ronnie's favour. True, the Colonel was impressed. At last his brother had proved he was up to scratch. Now they were both accomplished killers. Up till that point, I don't think they could take themselves seriously as gangland bosses. But, with 3 corpses to their credit, they felt they were on a par with the mafia. In America, wise guys make their bones by killing. Now they too had killed their way to creating their own fully paid up crime family. Before, they didn't believe all the publicity they'd been getting, not surprisingly as they had invented most of it, especially the rubbish about how well organized they were. Ronnie once boasted he could put 200 armed villains on the street at the snap of his fingers, but it was a straight lie. Now they had killed Jack. They could no longer separate fantasy from reality. They had reached the stage of self-delusion that signals the fall of many top gangsters, and many legitimate people too. They were believing their own headlines. The twins' triumphant mood after they'd killed Jack the Hat was strong, yet fragile at the same time. Sure, they were feeling secure in the belief that any police inquiry into Jack's disappearance would peter out as quickly as the one into Frank Mitchell's. This was a pretty good bet, because even when the police had a body, like George Cornell's 2 years earlier, the twins had defeated them by exploiting the East End's traditional wall of silence. They even felt cocky enough to allow a journalist, John Pearson, open access to a lot of our social gatherings. I thought this was crazy, yet another delusion of grandeur, because this guy came from a different world. His morality could not possibly be the same as ours, and he'd have to be dumb not to see what a bunch of thugs and clowns we all were. And Pearson wasn't dumb. He was clearly a bright fellow, which was a good enough reason for us to have nothing at all to do with him. But no, the twins wanted him to tell their life stories, to set the record totally straight after all that nasty police propaganda about them being thugs and bullies. Pearson first showed up soon after McVitie's murder, when the twins were still in high spirits. On one occasion, Ronnie decided to play a trick on Pearson at a party in the Coach and Horses in Mile End Road. He brought in a couple of old pickpockets and then gave Pearson a sealed envelope saying something like, "Do me a favor, hang on to that until later. I'll ask you for it about 9, but I don't want it on me." So Pearson put it in his pocket. Then Ronnie got one of the pickpockets to nick it. Then Ronnie said, "Where's that envelope?" And Pearson searched his pockets, and then he said, "I've lost it." Oh. For a moment, he must have been in agony until Ronnie explained the trick. He had gone through this carry-on, partly to frighten Pearson, partly to impress him. It was a good-natured joke on one level, but at the same time, only a crazy man could believe that a man like Pearson wouldn't see through him. The twins had so little handle on reality that they probably thought Pearson would do a whitewash job on them. It was only when these gangland untouchables heard that Nipper Reed was back in business that they sank back into depression. It had been this tough little detective who, back in 1965, had almost put Ronnie and Reggie in jail over their extortion and blackmail rackets, only to see them acquitted in a blaze of Cockney glory. They knew Reed had been taken off their case soon afterwards, and they thought he was doomed to spend the rest of his career as a dog handler. But now spies in Scotland Yard leaked that Nipper had been set up in Tintagel House, a top security police building on the Albert Embankment, often used for highly sensitive inquiries. He had a large staff of detectives all dedicated to nailing the Krays. Somehow the twins realized, however dimly, that their perpetual search for publicity had backfired on them. If a top detective keeps reading about your social and charitable activities in the papers, but at the same time he knows you're killing people every few months, you've got to expect a little heat. He's going to get angry and do something. Now we knew that Nipper was back in business. The firm started taking even heavier precautions against police spies than usual. One day we heard that a guy had been running around our pubs trying to track us down. We found out that he'd recently been on remand in Brixton Prison. He'd had a couple of visits from the police, and he'd then got bail. The next thing we know, he's looking for the twins, but he didn't actually know them. To us, it's sticking out a mile that the police have told him to get into the Krays, gather information and report back to them. So, rather than blank this guy, the twins arranged for him to come to the Grave Maurice one night, when we'd all be in there drinking, along with a respectable guy with a clean record who would make a useful witness. So we were ready for him. Ronnie was sitting at one end of the pub, and I was sitting at the other end at a table with Reggie and the witness. When the guy came in, I pretended to be Ronnie. I was calling Reggie Albert, and he was calling me Ronnie. He was brought up to us and searched. Then I interrogated him. I asked, "Who sent you in?" He said, "My wife's ill, and I need a bit of money." This made us suspicious because the Krays never handed money out to absolute strangers. You were either known to them already, or you had to show a connection, name a friend of the firm that you'd met in jail, or come up with some believable link. This guy couldn't name anybody. Nothing seemed to gel with him, and you could see he was terrified. So I said, "You better forget all this. Just go home and do something else for them." He said, "For who?" I said, "Well, the old Bill has obviously sent you in here." We were trying to get him to admit that he was a police spy, so the respectable guy sitting there could take notes and then claim that we were being harassed. Then that guy went away, leaving us to take the spy round the corner at the end of the night and give him a little dressing down. He just got a couple of good slaps and was sent on his way. I'm sure that when he reported back to the police, he would have told them he'd spent the night talking to Kray, even though the real Ronnie never said a word to him. That night was amusing, or we pretended it was. We had to try to laugh from time to time. We even called the twins Gert and Daisy, but only behind their backs, because every day they resembled a well-known pair of women, comedians, more and more. They both had high-pitched, effeminate voices. Whenever they said, "How are you today, Albert?" or "Ooh, what lovely flowers," they sounded like a pair of drag queens rather than London's toughest villains. We'd always had a little snigger about this, but now it was becoming gallows humor. Generally, the mood on the firm was dipping fast. The laughs were getting fewer and fewer. Ronnie was on a one-way trip, sinking deeper and deeper. He had become a slob. At the morning meets, he'd sit there in a collarless shirt, with braces and baggy trousers, chain-smoking and infecting us all with his depression like a plague, barking manic orders just like Hitler must have done in his bunker during the final days. Everything was building up. We all knew. As a gangster, you can go around fighting and conning people forever, and it's just part of the business. But you can't go murdering people left, right, and center without causing some reaction among your followers as well as your enemies. I was getting affected myself with these bodies all over the place. I would do a lot of thinking about where I was going and why, but I didn't let this stuff show, because the twins would be bound to say, "Well, what's the matter with you?" and start getting concerned about your loyalty. So when anything like that was mentioned, I'd laugh it off, like everybody else had to. Around the murders, the twins were getting even more paranoid. Reggie was drinking more and more. Instead of getting drunk once or twice a week, he was drunk practically every night. Ronnie would hole up with crates of brown ale, and whether he was drunk or not, to him, everybody was a spy. Everybody was trying to tuck the twins up. So while strangers were trying to get into us, friends were trying to get away. People started making themselves scarce after McVitie's murder, which had made them realize it was all going to come together for the police and fall apart for us. So many people were drifting off the firm that even when somebody was suffering from a genuine illness, the twins didn't believe it. Like when Billy Exley had a heart attack and was in the London hospital. "Don't believe it," said Reggie. So we had to go and visit him in the London hospital to make sure he had actually had a heart attack. Even then, Reggie wasn't satisfied. I was with him when he grabbed hold of the sister's clipboard on the end of the bed and started studying Billy's charts. He wouldn't have had the slightest idea how to read them, and I'm pretty sure he was holding them the wrong way up. But when he walked out of the hospital, he was still convinced Exley was faking it, just to escape from the firm. And Exley was dangerous, because if he talked to the police, he could cover the waterfront, from way back through the long firms, the extortions, the attempt on Payne, as well as even Cornell and Mitchell. We found later that it was a genuine heart attack. We also discovered that he had been talking to Nipper Reid on and off since December 1967. When Exley eventually turned, he helped break the wall of silence. that's all for this time, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.
Leave a like and subscribe.